Hello everyone and welcome back to the YourAverageGamer channel. In this video we're going to be continuing on my Warzone solos weapon reviews with the Bruen Mk9. The Bruen Mk9 was added to Warzone in Season 3 of the Modern Warfare era. Initially it didn't stand out amongst the sea of Grau, M4A1 and Kilo users due to its poor mobility being an LMG. Being very similar to the M249 SAW, this weapon packed a large punch with little recoil. However, the movement was extremely slow, so it didn't catch on immediately. However, it didn't take long for players to realise that once the 60-round magazine was added, the mobility of this weapon was massively improved without too many negative downsides. From this point on, the weapon took Warzone by storm, becoming the favourite gun of streamers such as Mk9 and also casual gamers alike, thanks to its excellent TTK and good accuracy. Of course, whenever a weapon reaches the peak of the meta, it inevitably comes crashing back down, courtesy of gameplay balancing nerfs, and the Bruen has certainly received its fair share of those. However, with the release of Warzone Pacific, I'm keen to test and review as many of the old meta weapons as I can to see how they fare in the updated setting. Not to spoil it too much, but in my opinion, the Bruen is excellently suited to the gameplay in Caldera, and in the background you're going to see a huge gameplay dating back to when buyback solos was in the rotation. The first thing to mention is that being an old Battle Pass weapon, there is of course a challenge to unlock this weapon now, if you have not done so already. The word challenge does not quite cover the difficulty you can have unlocking this weapon if you do not have Modern Warfare multiplayer, so be warned in advance. The bizarre challenge requires you to get 3 kills with an LMG whilst the enemy is near one of your smoke grenades in 15 separate games. The best way to do this would be to add smoke grenades and a thermal scope to your LMG and then drop into either multiplayer shipment or plunder. But obviously plunder will take longer as the games are longer. Now, into the weapon stats. The base weapon has a damage profile of 46-31 within 26 meters. This means the weapon will deal 46 damage to the head and 31 everywhere else, which is excellent as it means that even if you're hitting the extremities such as the arms, legs, feet, you'll do exactly the same damage as if you were hitting headshots. So it gives the weapon and yourself a little bit more flexibility in where you hit your shots. Of course, headshots always being desirable to get that 46 damage. Outside of 26 meters, this drops to 42-28. This is a huge damage profile for a weapon with a fire rate of 752 rounds per minute. The obvious downside to this, is being an LMG, is that it has a 325 millisecond sprint to fire time, 446 millisecond ADS time, and a small open bolt delay, meaning your shots don't come out exactly when you pull the trigger. However, the attachments that we choose can make a huge difference to how this weapon handles. So firstly, the attachments I would recommend running. I would run the monolithic suppressor to keep us off the minimap, increase range by 10% and bullet velocity by 20%. The minor ADS penalty will be ruled out later on, but it's by 46 milliseconds. This is a standard attachment that we'll almost always run on every weapon, as an increase in range and keeping us off the minimap is almost invaluable. Secondly, I personally run the 26.8 inch XRK Summit barrel. This further increases range and velocity by 25 and 33% and decreases vertical recoil by 10% to help us stay on target. The penalty for this is 54 milliseconds ADS, 51% worse hipfire and some minor movement speed decreases. Though of course these may not be minor once added to the already poor mobility on this weapon, though an attachment later on will improve this. Thirdly, the attachment I recommend is the Tactical Laser, or TAC Laser. This is to reduce the effect of the ADS penalties we've already taken. We've already added almost 100 milliseconds, so we want to try and get that back down and make us slightly more snappy. For the optic, I run the usual 3x VLK scope. This does give us 38 millisecond worse ADS, though also 11% better vertical recoil and 20% better horizontal bounce, as well as the increased zoom for recognising targets at long range. My final recommended attachment is the crucial one for this weapon, the 60 round magazine. This reduces ADS by 46 milliseconds, increases your movement speed by around 3%, and decreases the huge reload time down from 5.37 seconds down to a measly 2 seconds. The downside of this attachment is slightly increased recoil and 40 less rounds, though 60 is plenty. This magazine makes the weapon's handling feel much more similar to an AR, without harming its damage output. An alternate version that you can run is to drop the tac laser, giving you a higher ADS time, or dropping the barrel, where you'll have worse range and bullet velocity, and instead adding the Commando foregrip. The Commando foregrip will negate further amounts of recoil, so if you're struggling to hit your shots, this may be one of the swaps you decide to make. The end result of my recommended class is a weapon with an LMG damage profile, but assault rifle handling characteristics. You can still move around the map and ADS in a decent time, while simultaneously putting out huge damage. The ADS in the end has increased slightly from 446 milliseconds to 490, so it'll be on the slower side compared to most ARs. However, range for that first damage profile of 4631 has increased up to 36 meters, and the bullet velocity is up to 1,000 meters per second. Recoil has, despite the magazine, still been decreased vertically by 8% and horizontally by 16%. The resulting recoil pattern for this weapon is excellent, primarily vertical with a small amount of horizontal. I would pair this weapon, as with most primaries, with an SMG that can deliver at close range. I have enjoyed this pairing with both an MP40 and a PPSH, but any other meta SMG will be a good choice. Now, I'll let you go into the gameplay in the background. I have a 25 kill solos game showcasing almost all the ranges which the weapon can be used. I'll give a final verdict and review at the end of this video, and I really hope you enjoy the gameplay.
Entering the AO. Be advised, UAV is bingo fuel.
We need radar. Send recon.
UAV entering the AO.
This way. There, going in.
Be advised, UAV is bingo fuel. RTB for resupply. UAV entering the AO.
Does anyone want this?
Enemy soldier incoming.
Vendor here if you need
Gas is
it.
closing in. Relocating the safe zone. Enemy soldier incoming.
I'm off this one.
Gas is moving.
Contact!
Fifty still remain.
Good. Going this way.
Gas inbound. Safe zone relocated. Field resupply.
Vendor here if you need equipment. We need radar. Send recon.
UAV entering the AO.
Going this way.
Inbound.
Moving up.
Be advised, UAV is bingo fuel. RTB for resupply. Enemy UAV overhead.
We need radar. Send recon.
UAV entering the AO. Be advised, UAV is bingo fuel.
Moving up.
RTB for resupply.
Target spotted.
Locating the safe zone. Enemy UAV overhead. Be advised, cash drop is inbound. Secure the cargo. 25 are still active in the AO.
We need radar. Send recon.
UAV entering the AO.
There. Going in.
Be advised, UAV is bingo fuel. RTB for resupply.
I'm off this way. Mark out. Moving.
drop headed your way. Losing ground.
Moving up.
Only 5 left. Enemy UAV overhead. Gas is moving in. New safe zone located. Gas moving in.
Close.
So, final conclusions on this weapon. In that gameplay, I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed using this weapon. So much so that I started using it in a few of my quads games when playing with friends. And I can tell you, it still holds up in those lobbies too. Although not as accurate as the Kilo I previously tested, which is still probably my favourite old school meta weapon, but that's just personal preference. Compared to the Kilo, this weapon is an absolute fryer. The amount of extra damage it does per bullet is crazy. If you can hit your shots, it will absolutely beam people. Personally, I still think the Kilo is a slight bit better, so I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. It's not as accurate as the Growl, but does a lot more damage, so I'm going to give it the same rating. However, you have a lot of scope for how you want to change this weapon. If you wanted to make it more accurate, you could always put on the Commando foregrip, potentially instead of the tac laser, if you wanted to be slightly less snappy, but a lot more accurate, and use this mainly as a long-range weapon. Of course, that will cost you ADS time, but as long as you've got a decent long-range SMG, say such as the Lapper, I don't think that will hurt you too much. Yeah, overall, this weapon is fantastic and definitely has a place within the Warzone Pacific meta, in my opinion. And I'm surprised I don't see it more often. Perhaps it's the tricky unlock challenge that makes people not use it. Anyway, I really hope you give this weapon a try for yourself. If you've enjoyed the gameplay and the review, please drop a like, please subscribe, and check out some of my other videos. As I said, I have a review of the Kilo, the Grau, and also the Farah, and there'll be more coming in the future. I really hope to see you on the next one.